So welcome to this Back of the Net video special, and take a look at this face. We have missed you, man. You may have known him from the podcast before, and he's still involved and behind the scenes doing all sorts of bits. But Mr. Sean Barker, how are you, buddy?
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Yes, very, very good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good to be back in the fold. It's I always said you had a face for radio, and then I kind of took a little break, and then next minute you're like on videos on Facebook, you're on my Twitter, you're on my Snapchat. I mean, you're everywhere.
So those who have only just found Back of the Net through YouTube, Back of the Net was actually Sean's brainchild. It was his idea, and it was we did so many shows together, but it was just the logistics of you being in New Zealand, which some people might not actually know. Tell people on YouTube, at least people who listen to the podcast will know what you're all about, but on YouTube they may not. So tell us about your history.
Wow. Hello YouTube. Hello to YouTubers. I've been on YouTube. I'm aware of it. So my quick back history. Cherries since 91, around then, when I was a wee lad, and started going in the awful Pulis years. Saw Big Fletch arrive. Always loved him. Will always guarantee I was the first person on the South Stand to have Fletcher on the back of my shirt before it was cool. And then followed them through until went to every home game and many away games, many with Sam over the years. And then in 2008, at the start of 2008, I moved down to New Zealand and have ever since been following from afar, albeit I've been back 3 or 4 times. And last year was back for 6 months and managed to squeeze in 16 Bournemouth games home and away. I coincided with the awful away run where I don't think I saw a victory in all the away games I went to.
No, I saw.
So everyone was happy when I came back here. Yeah, Wolves was great, wasn't it? Wolves was a really good one to pick, Sam. Yeah. That was an awesome away game. It was freezing cold, and we were awful, and we lost. Yeah. But still, but happy to see you again, Sam.
Yeah, you too. I obviously did see you the last time you came with your wife and daughter, and it's also baby number 2 now.
Yep, she's 2. You did meet her as well. Yes.
Love it.
Well, that's fine. She was only wee when she was only a thing. She was 5 months old. But yeah, so no, we've been pretty busy. Like we still, so yeah, I started working as well, because when I was doing the podcast before, I was predominantly stay-at-home dad, which meant hey, the baby looks after itself, right? And I can just talk about football for years. Now I'm working, so it's become a bit tougher. But I still watching the games, either getting up in the night if it's a really I don't know, I'm feeling that way inclined. Otherwise, watch it first thing in the morning on demand without knowing the score, or and we're just gonna have to talk about Selhurst Park straight away. The kickoff time here was 8:30 a.m. and I was working at 9. And if it's an overlap, I can watch a bit at work. But because it was going to be the whole game, I thought I'll save it and I'll watch it that night with a beer. It'd be great. It'd be like a proper night game. So told the one guy in the office who's into football, like in terms of Premier League, don't mention results, don't mention anything. Sweet as, all good. And then I get a text from a friend who has never, ever, ever texted me about Bournemouth in his life to say, but your chances of winning now, they're down to 10. I was like, God damn it. So what that did, it didn't tell me the result, but it told me that Palace were down to 10 men after about 20 minutes. So the rest of the day, super pumped, going to sit back. We're just going to absolutely destroy Palace. So put the TV on that night, got a beer, ready to just watch us, absolutely massacre the team. And yeah.
It's
not good, eh?
Didn't quite happen. It was horrible performance. And you've seen many Premier League matches, both in the flesh and on TV over there, etc. Can you think of many worse moments in the Premier League? I mean, I know as a club we've experienced some lows that are a lot worse than this. I'm talking, in the depths of League Two, League One, etc. But Premier League, we're on an even keel with a lot of many clubs now in terms of the money coming in. Maybe not through the turnstiles, but in terms of the money we get from Sky. So we should be competing, and it was poor, wasn't it?
It was poor. It was really poor. It's I'm not in the doom and gloom. It's the worst we've ever been. Eddie must go camp at all, And I need to state that I would still rather go down and retain Eddie than we kick Eddie out. And I think just to talk about that situation with the manager, and there's talk of he's got to go and he's run his course and all that kind of stuff. I think my biggest fear is that for us fans who have been there a long, long time, I think the day that Eddie Howe leaves, I think the club that we fell in love with, not to be overly dramatic, but I think that dies and that goes with him. And I think we just become, I'm worried we just become just another club, and in the past we had managers come and go, but there was always that connection with the club and we were always such an integral part of it. And we're not now because they're multi-million, dollar players and the way the business is set up. And, as Stu Bramley pointed out online, the kind of interaction with fans groups and stuff doesn't happen, but we've still had Eddie, we've still had that connection. And there's Eddie and there's JT and there's Mossy and there's Fletcher. And there's all these people that were there when we were there. And if he was to go, I just think that would be, it would be the end of what we know. And we would then get another manager and another man. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest fear, which is overrides, I think, every other thought around what's going on at the moment. That's my biggest fear, is that this noise gets louder and louder from what I hope is just a minority of fans. Yeah. And I don't want it to go any bigger.
Yeah, I think it is a minority of fans, but quite often they have the largest opinions in terms of on the forums and various Facebook groups and on Twitter. It's people are very dramatic with the things that they say, and obviously clickbait is huge these days. So people do say knee-jerk things, and there are a lot of Howe Out calls immediately after the final whistle. It wasn't great. But we've had bad runs in the Premier League before. Do you get the feeling that there's just a little bit of, we're dramatising a little bit too much? It's not as bad, or are we still in quite a bad situation?
Well, I see parallels at the moment with that period of time when we had Arter and Sermon were in the middle together, and it felt like we kind of everything had become really slow, and that sideways passing and no dynamics, and it just felt like and then Wilshere came in, and then remember Jack Wilshere came in, and who was the one player who could open up sides, and all of a sudden we went, oh shit, actually we've got players that can get on through balls. And I remember watching us in that period, and it was pretty dull at times. And I guess that's the difference when you watch the games on TV all the time versus when you're there. Because we're so saturated with football on TV, and you can watch, the World Cup, or you can watch Real Madrid versus Barcelona at any second just by clicking on your phone. You get accustomed to an entertaining game of football on TV, and it really stands out when it's a dull game. Whereas I find often when you're in the flesh watching games, and as a Bournemouth fan, we have watched more dull games than we've watched great games over the course of 25 years. But there would always be something. You would have made an occasional funny joke that would have got a couple of people laughing, and that would have lightened the game. Whereas when you're just watching the game, you're taking it all in as a spectacle. And for quite some time now, our games have been pretty dull. Very often we're last on match of the day. That kind of early gusto of excitement of us playing exciting football has kind of gone. And for me, I feel like we're at and lots of people have said this online, I think our identity at the moment is missing, and I don't really know what we are. We came into life in the Premier League as a super attacking team that we're going to keep the ball. And that first season, we were all excited that we could go to a big club and have 70% of the possession. And watching us pass it around for 8 minutes, it was like, we're in this, you know? Yeah. And then we realized that actually you don't always need the ball. And then we evolved. And it felt like then we were like, okay, we're counter-attacking. We're super fast on the break. You can't catch us. We're just going to suck in. We're going to be tight defensively, and then we're going to explode. And that worked for a while. And now I don't think we do. We don't do that. We don't play overly wide. We don't play overly narrow. And okay, so then you say, well, is that the management? Is that the coaching? Is that the? And I think to a degree, I think it is. I think Eddie's trying to find his way, but I think it's hard to do that when you've also got what I feel is a bunch of players who also a lot of them bang out of form. And when you've got a England striker up top who's not playing well and not scoring goals, or when you've got the guy that had more assists than virtually everyone in the league not performing, well, as a coach, like, what do you do, right? Because you try and play a system, but then if the individual parts don't perform, well, then it all collapses.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Mentioning on the striker topic, we had a direct message from Jason Keats. Jason, thank you so much for getting in touch. And he wanted us to talk about the strikers at AFC Bournemouth. And Callum Wilson, obviously, is not functioning as he should at the moment. I'm surprised he gets called up by England, and whenever the next internationals are, whether he's picked again, I'm not too sure, because his form at the moment is out the window. And he was referring back to the strikers that we had in the Championship, for instance, the sort of Jan Kermigan sort of character. Are we missing that striker that plays in the deeper role? Because Solanke could be that player. We've seen sort of little glimpses here and there, but at the moment it's just not clicking up front.
No, it's not. And again, it's hard because when your main player is not performing, well, that's a huge chunk of what you want to try and get done. Again, it felt like even with Callum, we used to, going back to the Championship, it was the balls down the channels. He was on it, and there was this pace. And then again, it felt like we've evolved him to a degree to try and he was more of a target man. We were suddenly seeing Callum, I think, holding up the ball on the halfway line with his back to goal a lot more. Which again, I'm just not too sure. Well, what are we trying to play here? Solanke I think he's trying as hard as he can. I think he's very, very good on the ball from what I can see. There's times where he can skip past some players. But have you seen any link up with Callum at all? Is there any kind of connection or spark? I haven't seen anything at all. He made that busting run into the box for that cross that he slid in for, and that was unlucky because I felt that was a really good striker instinct. But a lot of the time he's getting the ball outside the box and out wide, and it's not working, right? It's just not working with him. But I think in Jason's email he made the point around having like a bigger, if we're having a big striker, in terms of tall, somebody who's good in the air, well, should we be getting more balls in the box? I mean, that's an old argument. We get quite a few balls in the box from corners and stuff. I don't remember Solanke nailing a huge amount of headers. So are we presuming that he's really good in the air because he's big? A bit like Derek Holmes. Remember Derek Holmes? I love Derek Holmes.
Of course, yeah.
He was a big fellow. He was awful in the air, great with his feet. But we made the mistake then of trying to pretend he was the new Fletcher and playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did.
Air.
Steve Fletcher light. Yeah.
But it's just so. Would I want to see Solanke playing in that hole? No. Would I like to see us try something different? Where, okay, let's take Callum out of the equation. Let's play Solanke up top as the big man, but let's get the midfielders screaming past him. Well, yes, that would work. But who've we got that can do that? You look in the middle. You've got Jeff and Billing, who are solid and I love those guys because they've added a protection that we haven't had before. But where's that player your David Brooks, right, who could go through the middle, could break past the strikers? Lewis Cook doesn't seem to be the player that we signed. We signed, I thought, a battling player, but someone who was an attacking midfielder who could make those passes through. And he just seems to have defaulted into like generic AFC Bournemouth midfielder, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for David Brooks to come back. I mean, could you argue that in the Premier League, we've never really had that striking combination that combines like they did in the Championship. You know, Yank Morgan and Callum Wilson seem to combine so often, and even Brett Pittman and Callum as well, because it was usually either Brett or Jan. But Josh and Callum have never really been a partnership that have linked up that well. I think I remember off the top of my head when we beat Watford 4-0 last season, Callum putting a great cross for Josh to head in. But apart from that, they're not really your sort of Shearer and Sutton types that are like scoring relentlessly, linking up like they do. And I think that's what sort of Jason was sort of getting at. Our striking partnership.
But isn't that part of, though, in the Premier League? There's, that two up top's not such a common thing anymore. And, when we had Jan in that first start of the Premier League season, or when we had Tomlin was playing up there as well, or he was trying to sit a little bit more behind him. And shame it didn't work out for him. I liked him. I don't think the two up top, I just don't think it's us. We're not Burnley, where they got the top two, featuring New Zealand's own Chris Wood up there. But, Chris Wood, for example, I've had lots of conversations with Kiwis who are like, oh, he's a great striker. I bet you wished he had him at Bournemouth. Well, no, because he wouldn't work. It's like Glenn, when we got Glenn Murray, Glenn didn't work for us. As great as he was, he didn't fit our system. And that's always been our problem. Ironically, could we do with Glenn now just to have somebody in the box that can pop up and get us a goal? Yep. Absolutely, and maybe that's what we need. But we haven't got. So there's so many. It feels like there's so many elements that we're not doing at the moment. Out wide we've got Danjuma. I like the look of him, and I think he'll. Classic. I think he'll come good. Jordan Ibe, I think he'll come good. Is he going to be great? I don't know. He could be. Could he be nothing? Maybe. Harry Wilson, I think, gives you absolutely nothing in a game, but he can score a goal. And he scored some goals. He scored free kicks. So do we need to go, look, you're not doing anything out wide, but clearly you've got an eye for goal. Do we put him into number 10? And do we play him there and just get him it closer in and around the box? Because he's not effective, I don't think, out wide. Yeah, there's just so many conundrums that.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of these you're looking at, we can talk about systems and formations and this, that, which is the coach's responsibility. But then you still then break it down and go, okay, well, let's play this shape. Is Fraser bang on form and is he going to perform out there? Probably not. Is Callum? Probably not. Is Harry Wilson? Probably not. So that's when the individuals come in, right?
Yeah, swings and roundabouts. I mean, in the second half against Wolves, Callum seemed to be trying to do everything he could. I mean, there were long balls being played, and he was sort of gathering it nicely to feet. And then he's playing quite deep, and Solanke wasn't more advanced, so he was kind of trying to hold it up, let everyone else catch up. And then we were expecting Callum also to be in the right place at the right time when the ball came into the box. So he was doing sort of both jobs, and you kind of think, well, Solanke was nowhere near him. They were playing so apart. You just think, well, maybe 4-5-1 is where we need to go with this and have that extra man in the middle. I don't know. I mean, if we are playing two up front, Sean, I don't know about you, but I think the SAS would have done quite well, right? You know what I'm going with?
Hey, and we're not talking about Shearer and Sutton, are we? We're not.
No, we're not.
Talking about the glory days of locomotive touch and dive. Yeah. Sam Davis, Sean Barker. There was a lot of goals scored that year, but we worked well together, my friend. That was part of it. Although, to be fair, we were in Bournemouth Div 7, so a couple of on the pyramid. We were on the pyramid, but we were, we were quite a way down. But I agree. I think we need much more in the middle. But who's that player that can do that? I don't know. Maybe we need to go into our. You've been to a few of our reserves and youth games. This lad Kilkenny.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit lightweight. I don't think he's ready yet for first team football. He's been played in a couple of the cups, well, the cup, and in one of the games in the cup. We didn't last very long in the Carabao Cup, and maybe he'll be in the FA Cup against Luton Town. I honestly don't know, but he seems very good on the ball. He can play out wide, but also as that sort of number 10 role as well, or centre midfield as well. So he's quite versatile. But he did well for the youth against Southampton recently in the FA Premier League Cup, where they won 2-0, and looks all right. But I don't think he's the answer, and I just cannot wait for Brooks to be back, or for Eddie Howe to play Harry Wilson down the middle, because that's where I think he's more effective. What have your thoughts been, just briefly, on the defence? Because we had like a few clean sheets in a row, and everyone thought, right, yeah, we've got it sorted now. It seemed to sort of take precedence over our attack in a way. But your thoughts on Rico? Because Rico, in many fans' minds, didn't start particularly well. It wasn't great when he joined, and he seems to have quickly taken over as being the number one for left back.
He has, and I like him. Is he our future? I don't think so. I think one of my big problems with him is he's got absolutely no right foot whatsoever. You'll see his body shape, everything he does, he has to turn. So I think what happens is he pretty quickly can get found out, right? Because it's like, well, he's always going to go on his left. He's got a good cross on him when he can connect with it. There's a lot of balls he puts in. He likes putting in early crosses. I worry that he often puts in an early cross without really seeing if anyone's there, and it's easy to go, oh, that was a great cross, someone should get on it with, should have got on the end of it. But if you were to pause it at that point and go, well, both our strikers are at the back post, why has he played it near post? You'd go, well, you've got to go where the strikers are, right? So is he our future? I don't think so. Hopefully, if we ever see Kelly, then, I would still hope that he becomes the left back that we've got. But having said that, I think Diego's got a lot stronger. I think he looks confident, and because he's had a good run in the side, I feel like when he was coming in before, you always felt like, oh, he's just been in and out of the side, and there's a lot of pressure. I think he's relaxed, and I think he's done well. Like, he's not done badly. I think he's done well. Has he been incredible? No. Has Cookie and Aki, are they really solid? Yes. Aki, I don't think I've ever seen that guy have a bad game. Has Cook been great? Yes. But then you go at the Spurs game and you're just watching long balls beating us, and Cookie getting done and Stacey getting done. And it's moments like that, you go, is that where, with the whole England talk, do they just watch some clips of that and go, that part of his game's missing? And then at right back, Smithy got injured. Is he out again? So does that mean, I presume that means Frano's in, or Stacey?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, we looked better. We've looked better. Yes. Ramsdale, I like his character. Great. Should he have saved the one against Slut? Yeah, I reckon he should have done. Has he? I don't want to sound tough on him, but I feel like a lot of the saves he's made this season, they're saves that if he hadn't have made them, you would have been pretty disappointed. So I'm quite harsh, because I always kind of look at the goalkeepers as a former trainee of Neil Moss. I also got worse after training with him, unfortunately. No. But it was always the thing, right? It was always the thing with Mossy, and I think he's got over that now. I think that Mossy's a great coach, but there was that long period of time where there was the argument of every goalkeeper we ever brought in got worse.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I used to blame Neil Moss, and I was like, no, he's awesome. He's real good. And anyway, so Ramsdale's been great. But yeah, I also think a lot of the saves you would expect to make. But I just think his character and his, it's great. He's young, and hopefully he can stay with us a long, long time. But I also think Jeff and Billing have played such an important part in making us stronger. I love Jefferson Lerma.
Yeah, He's a baller, isn't he? So just to conclude then, Eddie Howe is the man to get us out of the mire then, yeah?
Well, yeah, he is. And if he's not, and we went down, I'm just too romantic about the club. Even if we did go down, I would still want Eddie. Am I worried that we're going to get relegated? Probably no. I'm still not worried. I still think we'll come good. We've had runs like this, and I think we could go. We've got Liverpool and Chelsea. We could lose both those, and we've lost. Is that then 6 in the spin? But we've been there before, right? I think we've lost that many in a row before. What I want to see is I'd like to see some excitement back, because it's pretty boring watching our games. I remember you used to be telling your mates, oh, you got to watch a Bournemouth game. If you're going to watch one game this week, it's always going to be fun. It's not fun at the moment. And I would love to see a bit of fun come back in. And January, we haven't really talked about transfers, but the January transfer window, we're not, are we going to go and bring someone in who's going to revolutionise the side? I don't know.
Probably not.
Is Jack Wilshere doing? Is he still a thing?
He's still a thing. Whether he is injured or not, I wouldn't be surprised if he was. But we do need something.
Controversially, I would have that guy back in a heartbeat, and I would stick him in the side with Billing and Lerma, and I would let Jack unlock. Are you phoning Jack's agent now? Was that a phone?
Yeah, let me just give him a call.
Is he around?
Engaged, mate. Engaged. Sorry. Damn it.
Oh, damn it.
But yeah, I don't know. We just, we need something to unlock defences. We seem to really struggle when we play really deep teams like Sheffield United, Norwich. When they go so deep, we just can't unlock them. There needs to be a plan B. There isn't one, but I do trust Eddie. Are we going to be graced by your views and opinions throughout the season? A little bit more back of the net, Sean?
I would love to if people would put up with that. Yes, I would love to. This video thing's pretty exciting. I mean, I in the early days of the podcast, I would always get to see your mug, because we would do this, but then we would just take the audio. So it's interesting that you're now going. Although, looks like you're wearing undies now.
Yeah, this is a whole newsreader set up right now, so I cannot show you what's on my waist. Under my waist.
But, you used to show me before. Times have changed.
I know they have. But yeah, we'll definitely get you on again, Sean. And as I say, Sean is still involved on the podcast, and we're going to be doing all sorts of features as the sort of podcast evolves, and the YouTube channel and stuff. There'll be more content from either side of the pond, so to speak. Well, of course, you're on the other side of the globe. You're in New Zealand. Which part of New Zealand is it you're in?
I'm in Wellington. Yeah, windy
Beautiful.
Wellington. And I'm going to catch our old mate Rob Frank, who's Sydney Red now, over in across the ditch from here. He's in Bali at the moment, but we're going to sort out. We've done a few podcasts in the past where me and him have just shoot the breeze about the club. So we're going to sort out some of those as well, so we can get a bit of a down under opinion on what's going on. And and if any Bournemouth fans are coming down to New Zealand, obviously do look me up. Just ask. I mean, we all know each other. Just ask someone in the street. You know that Bournemouth fan? Yes, he's down the road.
Love it. Just ask for Sean, and if you want to write to him, just put Sean New Zealand. I'm sure it'll find him. Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you, and enjoy the game on the weekend.
Yeah, and,
3 points.
Easy. Yeah, I hope so. What are your thoughts on what Sean's got to say? And if you've got any predictions too, let us know. Put them in the comments. And I'm sure we'll be seeing Sean's lovely visage very soon. Cheers for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video too. And up the cherries.
Ti hanno.